Hi, Princess Style here, and I am back with another helpful video for learning sign, grammar, context, and so on. This is another one my friend and I were working on together, and she's learning negations. So I thought I'll make video to help. Now, if you know, um, well, any language really, you know that um, uh, negation is um, it's a little bit complicated, even in your native language. Sometimes we're not sure whether we need to use two negatives, one negative, um, and it changes and grammar changes over time. But as of now, this is how it basically works in ASL, from what I remember. I'm not perfect, but I did cover this, so in case you don't quite understand what I mean by negation, negation means to either declining something, taking a positive statement and contradicting it, or just to say you haven't done something or you haven't done it yet, or you don't have it yet, or you also don't like it, don't want it, and all those don'ts. That's negation. Um, just like, okay, sorry. Not like in English, two negatives in sign language do not equal a positive. In sign language, you're actually supposed to use two negatives to confirm that what you were saying was negative to begin with. You don't really have to do this, I would say, in conversation most of the time, but it's technically correct, so it's important to practice it, especially if you're going to be tested on the subject. Now, a double negative in sign language is pretty easy, though, because there's a lot of emphasis put on facial expression. So, whenever you're saying a negative statement, you need to shake your head and kind of frown a little bit, like, no way. The best advice on this that I have heard and practiced myself is get an attitude about it. Be like that, sounds like rude advice, but be like the mean girl. You're like, no way, not happening. Like that. Kind of like, you can even kind of like toss your head if you really want to be dramatic, but just shaking your head works. Always shake your head. Okay. That in itself can be enough to make something negative if you're in a rush and you just don't have time to sign the whole thing. Then that's enough. But it's more correct to include a negation sign, which are what I'm going to show you. So the first and most important is not. Not, you take your thumb, put it under your chin, and just jerk it away from you like you're pushing the thing away. You do not want it. Not can be used for a lot of different things. Don't, won't, no. Um, Not no so much, but in certain sentences, it can substitute for no. Most often, it's going to be not and don't. Uh, when it's don't, though, it'll be accompanied with an action, uh, like don't give, don't say, don't um, think, maybe. While when it's not, I didn't want. It would be more of a feeling, usually, or maybe a comparison, this, not that, like in English. So that's the most important one. So I want to give you a couple sentences to show how you use this. Um, just from what we've been learning, you can use it to say what you prefer. I want an apple, not an orange. Or you could say, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'm not happy. Um, not not true. It's not. So you see, there's a couple different ways to use it. All right. Next is never. So this is a little odd to do. It's basically like this sweeping motion from the top of your head to your shoulder. Never. Depending on how much of a hurry you're in, it's going to look a little bit different though. But that's basically it. And if you want to do like never ever, then you just go never, and then you kind of repeat the last part. Never ever. So you would use this the same as in English. I would never do that. I will never do that. I never have done it, and it's not really complicated. Just remember to shake your head. I will never date you. Never. Yeah. Often, you can repeat the negative sign at the end of your sentence just for emphasis, especially for emphasis, but for clarity also. Another very important sign is none or nothing. None, nothing. Also, I use it for no one. Because the sign conveys, remember, sign language is conceptual. So it's the concept of there being nothing there, nothing in front of you, no person, just nothing, whatever. So you'll take your O hand shapes like this, and you'll cross it, and you go, there's nothing there, because this is also zero. So nothing, no. And of course, if you're hearing and you hear the no sound, then the making an O hand shape will remind you of no. And I'm assuming you're hearing if you're watching this, because if you weren't, you probably would already know this sign, obviously. So, yeah, nothing. Um, some sentences for this. My mind just blanked. Oh yeah, okay. Books I don't have. See, the most of the time I would use this is instead of saying don't have, which there's a separate sign for, it's a little simpler just to say I have none. Books, I have none. That works. You can say have none or have don't have. That's the actual sign, but this kind of conveys your concept better and faster. You could say I have no idea, and no one told me. You know, this happened. It's just nothing. Again, the more you use sign, the more the concept of it will make sense to you. So the more you use this, honestly, the better you'll understand why you're using it, and the see people doing it. I find it very useful in translating my songs to use this sign because the less signs I can use, the better. Because songs are so fast. I remember in I'm Not Famous, I used this sign a lot because nobody knows my quirks. And where are my haters? I don't have them. And because I had more time there, I said not have or have none. But yeah, for nobody knows my quirks, I just did this. And nobody judges me because I'm not famous. No, no. Yeah, I couldn't think, but I used a lot of negatives in that song. That'd actually be a good one to make this point. Um, you've never heard of me. Yeah, or well, I'll get to that. But since I brought it up, no. So no is it's taking your N hand shape. And this is technically N crossed over your thumb, but because finger spelling is so fast, people will just put it out straight. Same thing with M to save time, especially if you're using cursive sign language, which is a little bit more flowy and easier on your hand. So it's that, but you just stick your thumb out instead. And I've heard it said it looks like you're going to snap someone's nose off. And I think that's a great visual because that very much conveys idea of no. So it's you would use this no like how you'd say no to a question. No, I won't do this. No, that's not true. Just the same as with not. You can use no and not if you want to, but just to make it clear, you not use this sign if you're saying like there's no bananas, there's no one here, then you would use this. So you have to challenge yourself to think about what our negations actually mean in English and how you use that in sign, because we use the same words to mean very different things, which I imagine must be very confusing if you don't speak English. Sorry about that. Because I've found that the other languages I've studied tend to not have that problem quite so much, though it does depend on the situation. And also on what is proper grammar. I'm not even sure if that is proper grammar in English. That's just how we use it. So who knows? It's been happening so long it'd probably be considered proper grammar now. If it would have a long time ago, who's to say? Alright. So that's no. And then there is don't. Again, you can use this, and that'll be fine for, I think, pretty much every situation. But my friend showed me another way you can go this. This is also like won't. And again, it's concept. So this sign is implying that you are refusing to do something or you want someone else to refuse to do something. So do not or I will not. It's the refusal of consent, as it were. It looks kind of like you're telling someone to get in the back of the bus. If you've ever heard the Wheels on the Bus song, move on back, get going, get lost. Kind of implies that. I've also seen won't with a W. However, I have heard that deaf people usually don't like it if you use letters more than just hand shapes. I find it easier to remember, but you'll have to decide what you want to do with that. So don't and won't. Um, but just to clarify, this don't is not the same as I don't want something. That don't, I would just use the actual sign for don't want, because in that case, that is more clear. Don't want. You can say not want also. Don't want I like because it literally looks like you're flinging the thing away from you. I don't want this. Do you want water? No. I don't want water. I do want water though. Um, so yeah. Yeah, you also wouldn't use this sign for don't have. That would not make any sense at all. Unless maybe you're saying don't have them over, but in sign language it's not how you'd say that. You'd say don't like ask them to come. So it still wouldn't make any sense. I'm just trying to explain the concept. All right, I have a couple more. I have not finish, which is also ties into not yet, and not allowed, which are different. Um, so not finish, you can do not finish, literally. Um, but if you wanted to say I have not been somewhere yet, or I haven't done my homework, I haven't finished my homework, it would be more correct to say not yet. So yet is like, I feel like it's just self-explanatory. You just kind of have to look at it. To me, it's always made sense, yet and not. And then you shake your head at the same time. So it kind of looks like you're patting your head and rubbing your tummy. Not yet. So, one example from our class, my homework, I finished, not yet. Or your mother met, not yet. Which would be, I haven't met your mother. But that implies that you plan to. If you unequivocally are not going to do something at all, then you would use not finish. And I haven't done it, and I'm not going to do it. You know, like, what's a funny example here? Like skydiving, or maybe just deep diving. I don't know. It's like, have you done it? You're like, and you could say, if you're planning to, you'd say, not yet. And if you're like, I am never doing that in my life, you'd say, no. Not gonna. All right. One more, I believe. And that would be not allowed. If you forget this, it's okay to do not allowed, but it doesn't look the same, and the sign is just a lot more fun. So you would use this when you're talking about rules, something I'm learning right now. So for example, you could say smoking is not allowed. Smoking, L, like for law, and you smack it on your hand, kind of like you're slapping somebody's hand. Not allowed. Since this is law, this is not law. Not allowed. I say this would be great to use with your kids. Not allowed. Plants. So, and you can give a more specific place. In restaurants, smoking is not allowed. At my parents' house, smoking's not allowed. Or if you are not 21, drinking, not allowed. Driving without your license, not allowed. So there you go. That's the sign. When it comes outside of these specific situations, I would say most of the time just use not or no if you're negating something that didn't fall into one of these categories. For instance, your religion. I'm not Christian. I'm not Jewish. Or not atheist. I forget what the sign for that is, though. So yeah. And also, like, I don't believe. While a lot of us other signs that are similar to that have their own form of negation. Think, don't think. Know, don't know. Understand, don't understand. It's like you're taking the thing away from you that you had before, but it only makes sense if you already know the positive sign. You're just modifying it. Like how we say dependent or we say independent. So that is negation, to the best of my knowledge, which I'm still working on now, of course. That I'm Not Famous song really is good for that. It's a great example, actually, because I don't have I'm not famous, no one judges me, no one knows. Uh, Paparazzi, they don't care because this is care and this is don't care. All that fun stuff. So, rewatch that video. I would say to see a lot of this put into action. And until next time, bye.